Thank you all for coming to the session on AR for health and sports. We're going to go ahead and get things started right away. And our first speaker is Christine Anderson. She's the Vice President, Creative and Digital Media at Sportvision.
Thank you. Thanks. Hi, everyone. So I'm going to kick things off by talking about augmented reality in sports. A lot of times I get the question, well, what are you augmenting in sports? Is it sports? The whole point of it is that it's real, right? So we're most iconically known for the yellow line on the football field, and then probably most infamously known for the glowing hockey puck. So depending on which one you recall, but the yellow line has become so iconic in the down and distance that people often think it's there, right? So we even get people who call in and say, how do you paint the line, or how do you move the line so fast? Or my son thought that when we went to the game, he didn't understand what to do because where's the yellow line? So it's become that integral to sports. And basically that's what Sportvision's whole sort of motto is that we help you see what's not seen that's critical to the game or to your understanding of the game. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about that today. I'll show you this older reel, and I brought an older one on purpose because I am, being the creative director at Sportvision, one of the things we're trying to do is show what sports could be, not where it is today. And that's another question I get a lot of is, so you're the creative director, what did you do after you decided the line was yellow? Like, what else is there possibly to do? So I'll show you, and you can decide on my job security. So you'll probably recognize strike zone, lines on the field.
That's good technology. When the yellow line can be that accurate like that.
We recently just won our latest MVP.
And there's the fuel window, and it's
it's out of fuel.
So we're less known in the world for our digital applications because of how iconic the broadcast is. But we have the two most popular digital applications, highest grossing digital sports applications in the App Store, MLB At Bat and RaceView, which is a digital virtual 3D recreation of the event.
There's a look at these wonderful live line graphics. That yellow line, that's the course boundary.
So that's Sportvision today, and that's what augmented reality mostly is in sports today, or what we think it is what you see on the broadcast. So what Sportvision actually does in order to make these visuals and in order to make what you saw possible is we're tracking, right? And we're tracking using whatever technology is right for that sport. So in NASCAR, in order to put those bubbles over the cars when they're driving over 200 miles an hour, we're using military-grade GPS and the Russian and the American satellite constellations to track the cars. In baseball, we have optical cameras installed in every major league ballpark. And in something like football or hockey, one of the reasons why you don't see us back out there yet is because that requires players to wear infrared or RF receivers, and that requires getting involved with players' unions. So it takes time to make deals like that if you're going to actually put something on the player to track them. But once you know where the ball is, if it's a ball sport, and where the player is, you've got tons and tons of data. And my belief and my team's belief coming from a creative perspective is that we need to do more in AR and a lot less in the typical broadcast graphics. So we'll get a story like from ESPN for Sunday Night Baseball last year, and they'll say, tell us why Dickey's knuckleball is so great. And then these are the types of graphics that come out. Now the story here is amazing, and I would say that the graphics are terrible. The story is that Dickey has two speeds of knuckleball. One that he throws in pitchers' counts exclusively, and one that he throws in hitters' counts exclusively. And both of those speed knuckleballs are 5 and 10 miles an hour faster than the best knuckleballer in the history, who is Wakefield, right? So how do you help the announcers tell that story, and how do you help visualize it? I would argue it's not pie charts and bar charts like this, or what I call a math lesson. on the screen. It needs to be beautiful visualizations, and you need to try to help the fan or the athlete experience it and actually feel what it felt like to be facing Dickey's knuckleball, for example. On the right-hand side, or I guess, yeah, your right-hand side, also, why does Prince Fielder, why does he have so many home runs? Why does he hit so great? Well, if you could see his heat and see where he hits the hardest, you would know you can't pitch him anywhere because he hits the ball hard over the whole strike zone as compared to other hitters. But again, seeing something as a graphic on the side, that's not immersing you in the experience. There's a lot more stories to tell, right? So I put up 2 examples. We could talk about how the heat at the track affects the speed. And as the track gets colder at night, the cars are driving much faster through the turns. Wouldn't it be better to try to show heat somehow on the track, right? This isn't the best implementation of it yet, but which would you prefer, feeling the heat on the track or seeing a graphic like the one that's in the bottom right? Similarly, they talk a lot about where drivers drive, what line are they taking, and was that a good line or a faster line than another line? Well, augmented reality could also be drawing things in real time in the real space, right? We talked earlier about NASCAR's Race View. This is a 3D application that you can download where you can now, we've virtually recreated the whole event. We're tracking every car, 43 cars, 5 times a second, and you can manipulate the car on your device and watch your driver from any angle or any view. But it still doesn't feel like I'm quite there yet. So these are some of the questions we ask, and I purposely don't have them all solved, is we say, okay, well, what if I could control it? How cool would the strike zone be if it were like this? And I lost the audio. There's an announcer on this, but
on the road trip for the Red Sox. He's not alone as far as quiet offense going for the Red Sox on this road trip.
So what if it was omnipresent, and when they're calling it a ball or a strike, I could rotate it and see?
Cleveland down on the count, 2-0.
I hope you guys are sports fans. Otherwise,
It was 14 for 27 to begin the season.
Fast forward a little bit here, and you can see that you can
5-19. Deal with Arizona.
Look at things from different angles
back
as
in
well.
December of 2007. Last year had a stint at AAA, but spent the rest of the year in the A's rotation. Just a 1-week stint at AAA in Sacramento.
Right. And this is a way we've never seen a strike zone in a way that we can be much more participative. What if we could do AR live on demand? What do I mean by that? The announcers say things like, is he going to make it? Can he make it from the 55-yard line? Can he make that kick? Think about your fantasy experience as well. What if, what if I could bring that up when I watch it?
Advanced in-scene data visualizations.
Sam Shields is giving Michael Crabtree a lot of room up top.
So I put my own pointers and my own graphics on
This
the screen.
should be easy, but Akers hasn't been too consistent this year from 35 yards out.
And wow, he has a 55% chance of making it.
Designed for the future, SportsDrive
we know
will
where
bring
the players are
new-to-world
standing,
data visualizations
and so
for
we know
years
if they're
to come.
weak or strong and how successful they've been in that area.
Everybody, Colin Kaepernick, what a game!
Right? We talk a lot about hitting the pitch. Wouldn't it be cool if I could try to hit the pitch? But what we do is sort of create this tablet experience that I have to hold up. That doesn't feel like I'm hitting the pitch. I'm going to move through some of these. We talk to a lot of college coaches, and they tell us that they're only allowed to talk to the athletes for 22 minutes outside of the field, and they look through tons and tons of tape. What if you could be taking their coordinates and creating an experience like this, where they could see where were they standing as compared to where they should have been standing? And how could this be more AR and less clunky tablet device? And can you do AR if you don't have limb information about? We think yes, because we think you can use a combination of the video and the tracking data. But so this I thought was really exciting. In 2010, Tim Lincecum told us, and he told the world, that I changed my slider in the postseason, and that's why I've been so effective, getting so many more strikeouts. And a lot of people were like, bullshit, you didn't change your slider. So again, using Unity, we pitched the data We took the average of his pitches from the regular season and the average of his pitches from the postseason and recreated the experience. And again, this is just for a tablet device. But imagine a holodeck-like experience where you could feel this and he could look at it from all different angles. And you'll see at the end here that by the time the batter had to make his decision about whether to swing, the pitch looks the same. Tim Lincecum did indeed change his slider in 2010 in the postseason. So check it out here as we come around. At the point he's making the decision to hit, which is when it's leaving the release point, it's over. Tim's already changed the pitch, but it looks the same, right? And just one last piece. Video is also data. We have super high speed, slow motion cameras, right, where we're analyzing where the player plants his foot, how far. Here, I'll just play this for you while we're going, right? And we're still doing it over video, and they're still fast forwarding and rewinding through a lot of tape and looking at that data. And I would ask, what could we do? What could we create to help these players analyze? So now the Oakland Raiders, wrong team, Oakland A's. I'm a Detroit fan, so it's very hard. And we just got killed 11-0 this week. They're using this data to help inform whether the minor league players should come up and pitch for the majors or hit for the majors, right? And so what if you could reenact this in some way and have them even being in like a studio environment on the field where they could say, here's what you did wrong, here's how your plant foot was wrong, right? So I need to stop for questions. So this, I hope, was inspiring to see the kinds of ways you can tell stories in sports using AR and how much more there is that we haven't even touched that we can do beyond the yellow line.
Thank you very much, Christine.
Yeah.
We now have time for a couple of questions.
Do you ever think there'll be a point where you put cameras on players, like on a catcher, an umpire, like on a pitcher, so you get that first-person perspective, and with AR?
I'll tell you what, I think it'll be very difficult. Even just trying to put the tracking devices on the players has been a much more daunting challenge than we had ever imagined, and we had imagined it would be hard. So I think putting cameras on them, some of them have it for special occasions, or the audio too, right? But for example, in college, you're not allowed to have communication devices of any type. So there's a lot of rules that you have to understand as we do this, kind of work together. So I think it's technically possible, but it is going to be very, very hard for that reason.
See them putting trackers on for training, for preseason? And
Yes, and in fact, like we had trackers out in Stanford this year, and they were using it for training. Definitely the minor leagues. We actually found, sort of by accident, that the major leagues are much more interested in the minor league product, and they're buying it for the minor league teams so that they can analyze that performance. So yes. I have been asked about high schools and things like that. The challenge with it is it's expensive, right? These are really, really good cameras. The military-grade GPS cost about $40,000. So when the car gets in an accident, we pray the device doesn't break.
Any other questions for Christine?
As you noted, doing cameras at least, or tracking at least in training, are you aware, are they also incorporating any kind of biometric sensors in training practices yet?
We are not at Sportvision, but we've seen other vendors, because we are doing what we call biomechanics, which is different than the biometrics. And we'll see other biometrics people there, but I don't think it's mainstream yet, because again, as soon as you're asking the athletes to wear something, it's very difficult. Especially the athletes are concerned with their ability to sign contracts as they get older. They think the data is going to be used to say they're running slower now, don't sign for as much money, and so there's just a lot of worry around that with the players' unions. So like if their heart rate, if something was wrong with that, then that might affect their earning ability. It's all about money in sports too, unfortunately.
Well, cool. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Christine.